Expand and solve the quadratic equation. Correct to 2 decimal places. Notice that we have this quadratic equation. We have 2x, open bracket, x minus 6 is equal to 17. And our goal is to solve this quadratic equation correct to 2 decimal places. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to distribute. So we say 2x multiplied by x, and we say 2x multiplied by negative 6. And so let's multiply this. We have 2x multiplied by x, which gives us 2x squared. And we have 2x multiplied by negative 6, which gives us negative 12x. And that's going to be equal to 17. Next, we take this 17 and we send it over the equal sign. So we send it over the equal sign like this. And so we have, when we take this positive 17 and we send it over the equal sign, what happens? Well, it becomes negative 17. It was positive 17, but when we send it over the equal sign, it becomes a negative 17. And the reason why we send this 17 over the equal sign is because we're preparing our equation to be ready for the application of the quadratic formula. And so we have 2x squared minus 12x minus 17 is equal to 0. And if we notice, the quadratic formula is a formula that we could use to be able to help us define the answer to a quadratic equation. And so that's what we use the quadratic formula for. It helps us to find the answer for quadratic equations. And so the general form of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where a is the coefficient of x squared, b is the coefficient of x, and c is a constant. And so in this case, a is the coefficient of x squared, so a is 2. Negative 12 is the coefficient of x, so b is going to be equal to negative 12. And negative 17 is c. And so now that we know what is a, now that we know what is b, now that we know what is c, we can apply the quadratic formula. And so what does the quadratic formula state? It states that x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And here we know that a is equal to 2 and b is equal to negative 12. So since b is equal to negative 12, let's substitute that. B is negative 12, b is negative 12. We have a is 2, so we put a is 2, and we have that c is negative 17, and so c is negative 17. And then we have a, well, a is 2. And so we have to operate on the numbers that are underneath the square root. And so we have a negative 12 squared minus 4 times 2 multiplied by negative 17. And that gives us 280. And then we have a negative times a negative, which is a positive. And so this is positive 12. So we have 12 plus or minus the square root of 280. Next, we say 2 times 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. So we have that x is equal to 12 plus or minus the square root of 280 all over 4. And then we have x positive. Let's evaluate what x positive is. And when we say x positive, what we basically mean is that we want the positive sign in between these two terms. And so we take, and then x negative, well, x negative means that we want the negative sign in between these two terms. So we have to figure out what is x positive and what is x negative. All right. And so let's focus on x positive. So we take the square root of 280, and that's 16.733200053. And so we have 12 plus this particular decimal all over 4. Next, we add 12 plus this decimal, and we get 28.733200053 all over 4. And when we divide these two numbers, we get that x positive is equal to 7.183300133. So that's what x positive is. But we have to figure out what is x negative. And so x negative just basically means that we're going to put the negative in between these two terms. Again, we take the square root of 280, and that gives us 16.733200053. And so we say 12 minus this particular decimal all over 4. But let's subtract the numbers in the numerator. And when we subtract these two numbers, we get negative 4.733200053 all over 4. Next, we divide these two terms. And so we have negative 1.183300133. But we want our answer correct to 2 decimal places. 2 decimal places. And so that means that we're going to look at this number. This number is 3 and it's less than 5. And so that means that we cannot round up. So we just leave it as 7.18. And the same thing is true with this number. This is 3, it's less than 5, so we cannot round up. So that means that x is equal to negative 1.18. And so x is equal to 7.18. That's x positive. That's equal to 7.18. And x negative is going to be equal to negative 1.18. And that's the answer to this particular question.